Oodles of Spider-people, a father figure turned actual dad, and some of the wildest animation to ever hit the big screen. Were you as surprised as us at the new Across the Spider-Verse trailer? A big focus of the first Spider-Verse was seeing Miles' relationship with his father, Jefferson, and Miles' struggle with his father's expectations. This is mostly true in the comics too, which tend to focus on the father-son relationship while leaving Miles' mom, Rio, mostly in the background, except for big and/or tragic moments. Across the Spider-Verse, however, seems to be doing some course correcting, with its trailer focusing on Miles' relationship with his mom. We see Rio approach Miles and talk to him about how much she and her husband worked to make sure her little boy felt loved and felt like he belonged, and her worry that her grown little man will be surrounded by friends and peers that won't look after him like his parents did.
Making sure he is loved, that he feels like he belongs.
There's a precedent for focusing on Rio Morales and her relationship to Miles this way, thanks to the PS5 Spider-Man video game, which had Rio running for city council and Miles connecting to his Latinx roots just as much as he does his black roots. In Across the Spider-Verse, the franchise has an opportunity to bring Miles' relationship to Rio into the foreground. The trailer for Across the Spider-Verse truly gives the people what they want. Shot after shot full of all kinds of different Spider-people, with dozens of cameos for fans to obsess over, scrutinize, and analyze. There are so many people in costume, you'll have to watch the film a bunch of times to even scratch the surface of who is who. Some of the cooler ones include Bagman Spider-Man, Spider-Cop, Werewolf Spider-Man, and perhaps most exciting, Insomniac Spider-Man from the PS4 game. We don't know if Spider-Man PS4 will have more than just a brief cameo appearance, but we do know that the film will see a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man. Peter B. Parker was one of the best characters in the first Spider-Verse, and one of the best takes on Peter Parker ever done. As voiced by Jake Johnson, this version of Peter was going through a sort of midlife crisis after 20 years of saving New York City and being hit by drones. Not to mention getting the girl, but then separating from her and also losing Aunt May. Now Peter B. Parker is back, and it seems he really reconciled with Mary Jane, because he has a baby Bjorn with him. Now, we don't see the baby in the trailer, but producer Chris Miller revealed that Parker has indeed become a dad. Chris Miller said during an online event following the release of the trailer, Peter got back with Mary Jane and they had a baby named Mayday. He also clarified that young Mayday has spider blood, so we can expect to see that play a role in the film in some way. This is a rather interesting and unique development that we don't see often in superhero films: super parenthood. Who better to bring that trend to the big screen than dad bod Peter Parker? We finally know a bit about the plot of Across the Spider-Verse thanks to a couple of very brief shots in the trailer and the movie's newly released synopsis. Turns out, the film will focus on a group of Spider-people charged with protecting the very existence of the multiverse. According to the film's producers, Gwen is invited to this supergroup, but Miles isn't, which will likely cause some tension. Furthermore, the synopsis teases a clash of ideologies on how to handle a new threat, which will pit Miles against the other Spider-Man variants. We see this in the trailer, with dozens of Spider-people chasing after Miles with seemingly murderous intent. Having just shown Miles befriend and lead a group of Spider-people from across the multiverse, making him fight a whole host of them in the sequel is a thrilling proposition, and one often found in the Spider-Verse comic book crossovers. We already know who the villain of Across the Spider-Verse is, but the trailer casts some doubts on whether the Spot is the only antagonist in the film. There's also Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, and possibly the hottest Spider-Man yet. In the trailer, Gwen seems to tell Miguel that she thought they were meant to be the good guys, which points to a clash of ideas. Given how angry Miguel looks in the trailer, and how fervently he chases after Miles, it's safe to assume Miguel definitely does not see eye to eye with Miles at some point. He tends to have that effect on Spider-Man.
You're pointing at me right now as you say that. Look at you.
I'm
Look
just
at your
pointing at
finger.
your pointing.
Look at your finger right now.
Different than normal pointing.
The thing is, Miguel is not a Spider-Man you want to mess with. Sure, he wasn't bit by a radioactive spider, but he relies more on technology and his own physical prowess. Miguel's suit is made of nanotech, and he uses the claws in his suit to just open holes in buildings to climb them, rather than stick to walls. He causes so much destruction, the team at Sony has dubbed him Property Damage Spider-Man. Into the Spider-Verse remains a marvel of animation, but Across the Spider-Verse is aiming to take things to a whole other level. We already know about the film's 6 different art styles, but the trailer reveals much more, teasing a literal deconstruction of the film's visuals. When we see Miguel chase after Miles, the art style changes and sort of devolves, going from the finished product to a sketch and even revealing an artist's instructions in the margin, along with the rough lines for Miguel's character design. At a time where superhero movies are struggling to pay proper respect to the comic book writers and artists whose work inspired them, Across the Spider-Verse looks to do something different. The film is not only crediting the comic book artists who laid the groundwork for its existence, but it's also bringing them into the filmmaking process itself. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse arrives in theaters on June 2nd, 2023.